I'd like to call the special board meeting for Benicia Unified School District on August 1st to order. First thing I'd like to do is ask everybody to please stand and join me in the pledge.
Where is our flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. I'd like to call for a motion, please, to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. All right, at this time, we will take some comments from the public. Members of the public may address the board at a regular board meeting on any item within the board's jurisdictions. Cards may be completed requesting to address the board. They are available at the back table and may be submitted to the board secretary at the meeting. The governing board allows speakers to speak at meetings on agendized and not agendized matters under public comment. Comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker. By law, no action may be taken on any item raised during public comment periods, and matters may be referred to staff for placement on a future agenda of the governing board. And with that, we have some speakers. I'd like to call Ralph Denise. Is that right? Dennis, please come forward. Thank you. And then behind him will be Alan Zeta.
Good evening, board. My name is Ralph Dennis. My wife Vicki and I are Benicia residents, live on the east side of town here. And first of all, I'd like to provide some comments regarding your interviews later for filling the vacant seat. First, I'd like to thank all 4 candidates for stepping up and coming forward and seeking the position. I think it's a strong showing and I think that's good for the community. But in the end, you can select one. You have one vacant seat, and as a Benicia resident, I'd ask you to select Gethsemane Moss for that vacant seat. She has over 20 years experience in education, as a teacher, 14 years, both elementary and middle school, and then on the administrative side of education, she spent over 7 years at the Solano County Office of Education, including as public information officer, and then later as director in educational services. So I think having that experience on both sides of educational issues is important. Bring a broad perspective to the issues that y'all face. She's also has experience in grants funding while she was at the Office of Education in Solano County, which I think in directing funds towards Solano County educators. And I think having that type of experience, as I'm sure most of y'all know, is good to find people with that type of experience, because it's very important to look for alternative sources of funds, in addition to the other monies you receive through the more historical avenues. And then finally, I'd point out she's a strong advocate for arts and education, which I think is important in this community, Benicia, because Benicia obviously is a strong artist community for a long, long time, and there's lots of resources to draw upon, and it's important to recognize having that base to draw upon is important to recognize the importance of arts in education. And she's with regard to that, she's in their second 4-year term on the Benicia's Arts and Culture Commission. So for all those reasons, I would ask that you select Gethsemane Moss to fill that vacant seat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to have 4 candidates that are, I guess, very well qualified to be on this board. What I would want the board to consider is that the 2 ladies that are sitting here did run for the board in November. That's 9 months ago. They should get really great consideration. They ran great campaigns. They were out there talking to people, walking precincts, sat on numerous panels, answered hundreds of questions. They really went through the ringer. I'm sure the other two gentlemen are just as qualified, but I would think that these two ladies, and Gethsemane and Adrian, really deserve credit for running. It's not an easy thing to do, as you guys would know. It's a tough road, and they did it. They spent the time, the money, the effort, knocking on doors, talking to people. That's all I have to say is really consider those two ladies for that position. They deserve it. They were the next runners-up in the election. Together, they got about 23 to 24% of the total votes that were cast, almost 7,500 votes together. So the people of Benicia have already spoken. They've heard them. They voted for them. I would highly recommend the vote to consider one of those ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are now going to move on to our interview panel questions. Thank you. So first off, I would really like to thank each and every one of the candidates for being here tonight. And again, thank you for your interest as well. We are very happy to say that we have a great group of strong candidates before us tonight. You're probably going to make this job really hard. Please keep in mind that this position will be open for election in November of 2020, so we're just going to plant that seed and get you going. At this time, you're going to have an opportunity to possibly run for the board again and secure your own four-year term once you get on the board. As a board tonight, we're going to be looking at candidates and trying to see how they align with the goals put forth in CSBA. CSBA, for those of you that don't know what it is the California School Board Association, and it is the organization that we all belong to and meetings and participation that we engage in. So they have 5 major responsibilities that they see as a school board member. They see that our job is that to set direction for the district, that we establish an effective and efficient structure for the district and for all the work that needs to be done, that we provide support to the district for whatever those needs are at the schools in order to make things happen successfully for students, that we ensure that there is accountability, and that we provide community leadership as advocates for children, the school district, and all of our public schools. CSBA notes that strong governance boards are very collaborative. We have found that we can make difficult decisions by working together, agreeing to disagree, and honoring each other's viewpoints and perspectives. Due to the commitment of each of our governance team members, we can better serve our diverse student population, our families, our team of teachers and staff and faculty, and our community. As for the process tonight, each candidate will be asked a series of questions that will be meant to provide more depth and clarity to the application materials that you submitted. This will give us and the community at large an opportunity to learn more about each of you. After the questions, each candidate will also be asked to provide a 1-minute closing statement. So for the sake of those of you sitting here or those that we are recording, they answered 8 questions that had to do with why they wanted to serve, their contributions and how their contributions might enhance the service on the board, what their knowledge of TK through 12th educational system is, how they will contribute and support and make for an effective governance team, the role of a trustee and the effective ways to handle questions that arise, and the essential elements of a high-functioning board. In order to be fair, we will rotate through the candidates so that each person has the opportunity to be the first responder to a question while the other candidates will follow. All candidates will answer every question. Do you guys have any questions before we go on? Because we're going to start. Okay, just to let you know too, each of us, each member of the governing board team will be asking the questions of you. So I'm going to start, and then at that point, I'm going to turn it over to the rest of my team, and they will be going through the rest of the questioning, and then I will close. Okay? So question number 1, and we'll start with David. Nope, we're going to start with Mark. We're going to go alphabetically. I'm sorry, excuse me. I went to the left because you go left to right, and Mark is on this end. Okay, Mark, please share with us why you want to serve on the Benicia Unified School Board and how your experience will assist you in this position.
Well, when I wrote my answer was to serve this community, the staff, and the students of Benicia. What enables me to do that is I've worked in education about 40 years. As 26, 25 years as a CBO, I've attended about more than 550 school board meetings throughout my career. I'm been retired 1 year. Otherwise, I probably would have run before. I needed a break. But recently I did some consulting and I was back on some school sites and I was helping another district, but I truly would like to help the district that I live in. I've lived here for on and off 25 years straight, the last 25 years, and probably 30 years off and on, 5 years off and on before that. I really have a connection, I think, to the community. I've coached in the community, support some local nonprofits, and I'm very well versed in education code, negotiations, district operations.
Okay, thank you. And at any time, if you'd like us to repeat the question, please let us know. So now we're going to go to Adrian. Adrian?
Can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. Please share with us why you want to serve on the Benicia Unified School Board and how your experience will assist you in this position.
The reason I want to serve on the school board is that I have children in the schools. My youngest is turning 12, so she's entering the 6th grade. I think it's important to have someone on the board that has children in the school district. And I know Mark has one, but graduating very soon. So I've still got many years in the school district. My experience is, I have 6 children. My oldest graduated from Long Beach State. My second is at Berkeley. I've got, really great kids. Some went through the schools. My 4 are in the schools currently. And my big why is basically because I'm a parent. That's my big why.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Moss?
So for me, I believe it's really important to be about or be a part of something that's bigger than myself. It would be very easy for me to continue my career. I've been an educator for over 20 years, but at the end of the day, the community where I live, I believe it's important to be involved, which is why, I've been serving on the Arts and Culture Commission, serving my second 4-year term. But as an educator, I find that it's so crucial that we have members at the table, members on the board who really understand what the system is all about. Me being a classroom teacher, from being a site administrator to having the experience at the county office, I know what services are out there that are being offered as well. And it's also important for me because I have students who actually, my last child graduated in June, so I'm so happy. But having had kids, they started off at Matthew Turner, went to the middle school, graduated from the high school, and I know that it's really important to be able to. I've had the experiences, so I have a good idea of what our teachers face in the classroom. I know what our administrators face, and I also know that it's important for us to be able to advocate at the end of the day in Sacramento on behalf of our educational system. And I feel really strongly about being a lifelong learner. I'm finishing up my doctorate. I just have one little piece left. So I know that it's important. The foundation that our kids get at the end of the day is going to help to their lives once they graduate, whether they decide to go to college or whether they decide to go into a career. So it's just important for me. But again, just being a part of my community. I love our community. I'm a property owner in our community. I don't plan on going anywhere. And so I want the best for all of our kids in our district. And so, I'm here and I believe in public service. So that's what I want to do.
Okay, thank you. Okay. David?
The reason I'd like to serve on the board is I have a passion for the kids in our community. I currently have 3 children, all within the system. I've got a 7th grader, 6th grader, and 3rd grader this year. I have served 2 terms as treasurer, 1 term as vice president, and just termed out for my 2nd term as president of the Robert Semple PTG. And the experience that I gained in that role has grown my passion for this community and for the education of the students. I'm a firm supporter of parent involvement, community involvement, and I think at Robert Semple we've done an incredible job at building a community, and I'm interested in taking that greater and being part of a board that I can help do that.
Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Hoagland.
Thank you, and we'll start with Adrian on this one, okay? Please share with us what you believe are some of the district strengths and how we can continue to expand on this growth and keep things moving forward.
I think the strengths of the district stem from the administration. I mean, it really does. It's the administration and the teachers. I think that the teachers are on the front lines and they're with the kids every day, and they're the strongest suit. And then, I think that fortunately there are a lot of involved parents in Benicia, so I think it is a community effort. So collectively between teachers, administration, and parents, I think that we've got a really good thing going in Benicia. And I think it takes having trustees who are out there creating relationships with parents and being a part of the community, sort of that cohesiveness, right? Being that integral part. So I think that the strong suits, though, are essentially the teachers. They're top. They're the best. We have great teachers.
Thank you. Somebody, can you please share with us what you believe the district's strengths are and how we can continue to expand and grow in those areas?
One of the strengths, I believe, is that we are a small, tight-knit community. We have our educators who are working in a system who actually grew up in the town, so I believe that's definitely a strong suit. My experiences have been whenever I had questions about anything, it's very easy for me to go and communicate with any of the teachers or the administration at the school sites. And so having more that open door policy is really, that's been a good thing, because if you're not able to communicate with issues that come about, then it kind of creates a situation. One of the things in terms of improving, about 4 years ago, myself and some other mothers actually started coming together because, we had some experiences with our kids, primarily African-American students, of course. And so what we did was, to be proactive, was we started having meetings. So we met with the district superintendent. We started meeting with our principals at the middle and high school, just to be able to be proactive. So I believe because we had that foundation of, we have a small community here, and folks are willing to engage in conversations, but we did take it upon ourselves to kind of put another system in place so that we could continue to develop better relationships. So I believe that we still, we definitely always have areas to grow, making sure that we're tapping into all of our groups, and so that everyone feels comfortable enough to be able to come and have a conversation, and to help just make things better. So thank you.
Thank you. David?
Like my constituents here to my left, I think the admin is definitely a strength. The teachers, the community, and most recently the board. I think we really have a cohesion that's really come together and is making Benicia Unified a place to be. Teachers, one of our most valued assets, are incredible in this community, and I think we're starting to show them the value and that we really want to keep them here in Benicia, and so I think that's definitely a strength.
Mark?
I think the greatest strength of the district is the school board. It's where the leadership comes from and the administration. In the past, I've judged districts and worked with superintendents and watched neighboring districts show up in the paper. This district hasn't done that recently, other than negotiations, which really isn't a result of the board's ability to pay, because that, I understand the money comes from the state, and the state truly dictates how much money you get, and they also impose bills to the district with raising retirement costs. So I would commend the board with keeping the next piece of the body solid and functioning. That's the staff. The teachers have always been there. In my experience with my children and communicating with parents, have always been available and open, as well as a school and site administration. So it's the board, district administration, your site principals have been solid in the past. I haven't heard anything. There's nothing in the news. And it all starts with the school board. And I'd like to be part of the team.
Appreciate it. Oh, my colleague Mark.
Kiselmi, we're going to begin with you. Please share some of your ideas on how BUSD can attract and maintain highly qualified teachers and staff.
Salary is a really big deal. So I think at the end of the day, we need to be able to advocate for more funding to be able to pay teachers to want to be here and to stay. I feel very strongly about folks being able to live, especially if you have to live on one income. Maybe you're a single parent. I've been a single parent, so I know the importance of having to have a salary to be able to sustain. I believe that if we want kids to go into education, then we need to be able to pay teachers. It shouldn't be your salary starts so low that you have to live, with your parents or have to live in a house with 4 other people. That should not be the case. So funding is a really big deal to be able to get folks to want to come to the district and stay. And when they're here, we need to be able to treat people with dignity and respect. All of us included, the whole organizational structure. We need to be able to have systems in place so that we're always learning. We should have a culture of learning and growing at all times. And I know that we have to have people in place with different positions. I understand that part. But at the end of the day, if you're a school site leader, you want to be able to still be on the level where you can still grow and learn with your staff. Us as you as a board, all the staff here need to be able to come together and still grow and have that culture of learning and continuing to grow. So it's good to be great, but there's always room for us to be able to grow. So I just think it's so important. And salary is money takes away a lot of worry in a lot of ways. And at the end of the day, a teacher should not have to go home and feel like, oh my God, what am I going to do to be able to survive? Or, anyone who works in our district for that matter, any salary that they're receiving, it really should be enough to be able to survive. And I know it's a greater issue than, just districts in itself, because again, it's a matter of being able to go and advocate for the funding that we need. So if I become a board member, that's definitely an area that I want to continue to help us thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Snow, do you want me to repeat the question? Are you good?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Of course. Share some of your ideas on how BUSD can attract and maintain highly qualified teachers and staff.
Okay. Obviously, salary is a big one, but I know that for a smaller district like us, our hands could be tied with that. I think what we need to explore outside of that are what other aspects can we provide to our teachers. Let's invest in them. Let's get them further education, give them additional training, send them to the writing workshops and the workshops that could help them grow. Let's invest in their growth within our district, show them the value that they bring to us, and just be there to support them. I think as a board, the more that we can support our administration and our staff, the happier they are.
Mark, did you want me to repeat the question, or? Certainly. Share some of your ideas on how BUSD can attract and maintain highly qualified teachers and staff.
One is salary. The other is with respect, treating teachers and staff with respect, making sure they have appropriate staff development, whether it's classroom management, statewide standards. I think those are the two things. With regard to stepping outside the box, looking at possibly some sort of housing for teachers. I'm not sure how that would work right here, right now, but there have been districts that have taken those steps with assisting teachers with teacher housing, staff housing. I have a friend who's a teacher in the San Ramon district, and currently he is working for the district in a maintenance capacity. So the summer projects that have to be taken care of when students are out of school, the district has hired back teachers to work during the summer and have them employed. So that's a way, and that's what another district is doing. That's it.
Thank you. Would you like me to repeat the question? Or?
I got it. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Salary is obviously a priority, but when it's stretched and you're adding in healthcare costs and all the other things that come along with, the package, I think something that would attract teachers to our district and to keep them here would be a one-time, I don't know that you call it a stipend, but a one-time allowance for a down payment towards purchasing a home in Solano County. And that would be, the restriction is that the home has to be purchased in Solano County. And, I don't know how you would iron that out with all of the current teachers, but I think that that's something that could be discussed and definitely ironed out, because it keeps them here long term, right? I mean, if you buy a house in Solano, you're going to stay in Solano, you're going to want to work in your same school district. And homeownership is so important, as long as their salary pays the mortgage. And I just think that it's a great way to tie it together.
You're up.
Okay, members of our board are responsible for ensuring the superintendent is successful in accomplishing the goals of the district. How would you work as a board member to help him meet this responsibility?
Well, obviously, can you hear me? Mm-hmm. Obviously, the board is there to support him and his direction of the school district. I think what Dr. Young brings to the district is invaluable, and I think that the decisions that the school board make only are there to help him in guiding the district into being more successful. I think getting involved with the community and getting involved with the schools is definitely the biggest way we can be of support to him.
Thank you. Mark. Of course. Members of the board are responsible for ensuring the superintendent is successful in accomplishing the goals of the district. How would you work as a board member to help him meet that responsibility?
Making sure that he has available to him his own staff development with superintendent symposiums, either statewide or even nationally. There's so many ideas that can be gleaned from what others are doing, and I would be a proponent of the superintendent learning more about what other districts are doing or the like, and being of support of that. Other than being out at school functions, supporting him and the staff of particular schools, either back to parent night or even at a football game. I think that's showing support for the district and the superintendent as a board member.
Thank you. Adrienne?
I think that as a body, the board members are the boots on the ground, so to speak, and sort of the front lines in that, you know, you're interacting with the students, the teachers, the parents, and then kind of bringing back collaboratively what you hear, see, and are, you know, experiencing in the schools, because he can't be everywhere. There's many trustees, so I think that that's sort of the component that makes the trustees so valuable to the superintendent.
Thank you. Ms. Enemy?
I believe that it would be important for us as a board to always keep the goals in mind. So, and constantly checking in with the superintendent, making sure that, you know, we're on track with the goals that we have set out, and then also looking at areas where there may need to be some improvements. Maybe there's something that's not working the way it was thought to work. And that would involve being involved, being in communication with all of our stakeholders, so including our students and our staff members, our parents, and the community at large. But definitely always keeping those goals in the forefront of what we said we wanted to accomplish or what he said he wanted to accomplish. And again, if it's not working, then we have to have a system in place so that we can look back and say, okay, maybe we need to change something up a little bit, or maybe we didn't think about this particular area, and really be able to move forward to support him in that way. And just, you know, a culture of learning and growing is really important. So I'm sure that that would be, you know, one of the areas that he would want to continue to, you know, to grow and learn. And so just making sure that we have systems in place to support that.
Thank you.
Back to me, folks, and we are going to start with Mark. Back to Mark. Okay. Thank you for helping me confirm that. The governance team is comprised of 5 trustees and the superintendent. Describe the elements of a high-functioning team and what experience you have being a productive member of a team.
Trust, respect, listening skills, understanding where somebody is coming from, are important elements of a cohesive team that works well together. It's been my experience. I have been a director of or board member of a JPA, which is Joint Powers Authority, for several school districts and multiple JPAs, and where we've developed visions for those joint power authorities. For more than 20 years, I've done that. So I have a really good understanding of the different views board members bring to an agenda item. It's important to listen to them. It's important to understand where they're coming from. And it's important to disagree if you don't fully agree with, in a respectful manner, somebody else's views. And truly communication with all those other elements that I mentioned earlier.
Thank you. Adrienne? Please let me know if you'd like.
Thank you. Could you please?
The governance team is comprised of 5 trustees and the superintendent. Describe the elements of a high-functioning team and your experience of being part of a productive team.
My household is a great example of a team.
Sure.
And obviously, I'm in a different position as in that team because I'm mom. But with 6 children, all different personalities, I think that it has really shaped and molded me into someone who really can see multiple perspectives in an instant. I mean, you just kind of have to be able to do that when you have so many children. I think what makes a team, I don't know why it's making that sound, but I think that what makes a team successful is communication. It is the absolute number one thing, is to be able to feel safe enough to be able to voice your concerns and your opinion without fear of not being heard or judged or. So I think that that's the big piece, is communication.
Would you like to share anything about your experience on a team?
Outside of the family? Currently I'm the president of the Benicia Lions Club, and I think that we do a really great job as a team. We did a fundraiser July 3rd and 4th at the First Street Park, and it was very successful. We also have collaborated and given out a few scholarships to Benicia High School and Liberty High School. And we've gotten 3 back already. So they've already applied and they're getting their scholarships, which is really exciting. And our goal over the next school year is to increase membership and do some more drives to make even more scholarships for our students. So as a team, I would say that that's kind of my right now team.
Thank you. Ms. Emily?
So in order for the body to really be able to work effectively, it's important to be able to leverage all talents. We all come with different skills and talents, and it's important for us to be able to share openly what our gifts are, have those discussions, but as a body, always be willing to grow and learn. Sometimes it's very uncomfortable to stretch ourselves, but it's important that we do it because that's how we really get to the next level. Having our goals, basically being a unified front, even though you will have different opinions and ideas about things, but still being able to work together as a collective group. And so for me, I've been a part of a couple of public service organizations for almost 30 years. And so we basically, we function as a team in terms of we have our executive body, but we also have members that, we vote on different areas. Though it's not always a fun situation because, it gets a little heated because people have different opinions about how things should function. But at the end of the day, when we keep our goals in mind in terms of what we want to accomplish, we're able to still get things done. It may start off one way, but we may take a couple of different paths, but at the end of the day, we still were able to get things done. And so in my role as a commissioner for the Arts and Culture Commission, all the utility boxes that are around town that are decorated, those are our projects. And so we've been able to, and it started off, having the discussions, looking at other communities and what they've done in terms of their public art, because public art is one of our entities as well, and so is the film festival. And so we've had many discussions about, how we were going to get to that point where, we would be able to get our artists involved to be able to decorate our beautiful utility boxes throughout town. So, and again, just when you're working with others, it's always going to be a situation where people just have different opinions about things. But at the end of the day, it's so important to have those goals in mind in terms of what we want to accomplish and be able to work together. And so we may have some disagreements, but at the end of the day, I know that anybody who sets out to be a public servant, your goal is to really serve and be about, this body that you wanted to be able to provide the service for. So just believing in the process and things will get accomplished.
Thank you. David?
I think some of the most important things are trust, open-mindedness, the ability to look at things through different lenses, and see all sides, a respect for each other. And at the end of the day, when a decision's made, that we all support that decision in a unified front, regardless of where we stood in the discussion. I've worked in several different governing boards. I served on the vestry for St. Paul's Episcopal Church here in town, and also as the president of Robert Semple's PTG. Have been in some heated discussions, but what's been most important is at the end of the day, when we do finally come to a decision, that everybody can support that decision.
Next question, and I believe I'm starting with Adrian this time. Each person has individual reasons for seeking this position. What is your purpose, and how do you see it fitting into the work of the board?
My purpose is to be, I'm already involved in the schools, and I will continue to be involved in the schools, but to be actually in a different role for the schools, in that, you know, the behind the scenes is so important, and sharing the experience with people with different viewpoints and different perspectives, I think it really does drive the district forward, you know, and being that I have so many children in the schools and at both schools. Well, now I don't have anyone in elementary, but I do have in middle and high school, and just having those dynamics where they come home from school and they're going to tell me what's going on, and their friends are going to tell me what's going on. And I think that the students are so important. And I think that as adults, we kind of get caught up in all the stuff when really the bottom line is what's going on with the kids. So for me, it's about the kids.
Would you like me to repeat the question? Certainly. Each person has individual reasons for seeking this position. What is your purpose, and how do you see it fitting into the work of the board?
I believe in our public education school system. I'm a product of our public education school system. My children are products of the public education school system. And me being an educator, it's really important for me to be, you know, to serve as part of the process. It's almost like I have all of this information, you know, just based on my experiences alone as an educator, but, you know, my experience as a parent. And so it's important for me to be able to share that knowledge. It makes no sense for me to take that with me to the grave, so to speak. I believe so strongly in public education, and I also know the importance of kids having a strong, solid foundation, because it'll make a difference in their lives when they graduate. It's so important for me for a student to know. Okay, they may not know what they want to do career-wise, but they may know, you know what, I think I want to go to college and think about it, or they may know I just want to go and get a job. It's important for me to be a part of that process and to be able to put, or to help at least put structures and systems in place that'll give them those opportunities. And at the end of the day, this is our community. It's important for us to be able to have this system in place so that when our kids graduate, then, you know, we're at some point they're going to be the ones in charge of everything. And so I feel so strongly about making sure that they have the tools to be able to do that, and for all of the kids. So. And public service for me is just, I think it's just something that I've been doing for so long that I almost just take it as, you know, that's just what I do. But a lot of us do that too as well. So it's important to be able to give back.
Thank you. David, would you like me to repeat the question?
If you don't mind that.
Of course. Each person has individual reasons for seeking this position. What is your purpose, and how do you see it fitting into the work of the board?
Well, I have a passion for the students in this community. I appreciate the diversity. I know that we have students from all walks of life, and I think it's important to embrace that diversity as decisions are made. I also have a passion for education in the 21st century. Our kids today are faced with different obstacles than we did when we were in school, and I have a passion to help mold that and help them navigate that in the 21st century.
Mark, would you like me to repeat the question? No problem. Each person has individual reasons for seeking this position. What is your purpose, and how do you see it fitting into the work of the board?
If I'm lucky enough to be on the board, I would be an advocate for at-risk students and students with special needs. Having one son who was challenged and attended community day school, I found that textbooks in the classroom weren't the same at the textbooks in the high school. And I was a little disturbed by that, and I mentioned it to the teacher, but that's where I left it. What purpose I bring also to the board would be an expertise in district operations, district budget and financial matters, and my 40 years of experience in education, which began here at Benicia Unified. I was employed here in 1979 for 5 years. I worked in the business office. So I do have some history with this district. I don't know how I came back to live here, and it's like full circle for me. And education is a true passion with me. If I didn't have teachers who sparked me, I wouldn't be in the positions that I had. I probably wouldn't be living in Benicia. I had a father who didn't graduate from high school, but went back to night school and got his high school diploma. That's why I'm passionate about students at risk. And the many stories over the last 30 some odd years from having one of my best friends teach at a continuation high school and hearing the stories and successes that he's had with very difficult kids in his classroom. That's why I want to be on this board.
Thank you, Mark. Back to Sherry.
Right, and I think, yep. You're on. Okay, as a collaborative team, we make many decisions. If a decision is made that you do not agree with, how would you process your concerns so that you could publicly support the team?
It is my hope that as a group that we, if I am selected to be on the board, that we do have a time where we're able to really build the relationships that we need to be able to do this work together. It is important to have team building in the process. I also understand that when you work with a group, that they're not always going to be the decision that, I may want or the next person may want, but through the processing of everything, just being very transparent about what the issues are at hand on the table, that we have those full discussions to be able to, look at the pros and cons. If it's a decision that's made that I don't agree with, we're still a body that works together. And so the decision is that when the decisions are put out to the public, it's not one person's decision on the board, it is the board. So it will be a situation where I will still support the decisions that are made because I will have built that trust with the members of this group. And so I trust that when the decisions are made, this is how we're going to make the decision. So it will never be, 4 members of the board decided, one person didn't. It will be the board made a decision, and this is what, this is our processing that took place. This is how we came to this, this decision. So and I know that it could be tough, for people to hear, but again, at the end of the day, as a group, that is why it is so important that we build that trust, have the transparency, have the discussions that we need to be able to build as a team, because we are a team at the end of the day. So I would still support it.
Thank you. David, would you like me to repeat it, or
I think I got it.
Okay, great.
And as I stated before, I think that the discussions are vital, and everybody should be open and honest with their their opinions and the discussions around any decision that's made. But at the end of the day, when the decision has been made as a board, everybody is needs to support that decision and carry that message forward. If that doesn't happen, you lose the trust of the community, you lose the trust of the administration and staff. And in order to maintain that trust as a board, you need to work as a cohesive unit and support each other, even if the decision doesn't go in your direction.
Thank you. Mark, do you want me to repeat the question for you?
Yes, please.
Sure. As a collaborative team, we make many decisions. If a decision is made that you do not agree with, how would you process your concerns so that you could publicly support the team?
Well, as an individual board member, I would have a vote. Whether that's with the majority or not, it's still my vote. But the decision is a board decision. It's not my decision or any individual member of the board.
Mhm.
It's a collaborative vote. And I would be supporting that vote. If somebody asked me, why did you vote no? I said, that's how I felt, but the board made the decision, and that's the board decision. And I'm a member of the board. That's the decision that is going forward. Whatever case is before the board.
Thank you. Adrienne.
Can you repeat it one more time?
Of
It's kind of
course.
complicated.
You guys are doing, I just
Doing
want to
great.
say, you guys are doing a great job. I've been on that side. It is really hard. Just take a deep breath. It's all good. All right. As a collaborative team, we make many decisions. If a decision is made that you do not agree with, how would you process your concerns so that you could publicly support the team?
I think the way that I would process it is through the discussion. At the end of it, if there's two people who, let's say me and someone else is on one end of it and three are on the other end of it, the three who are in disagreement would have their valid points. There's no way for me to know or think or say that I'm right while three other people are agreeing on something collaboratively. So I don't think it would be difficult to set my feelings aside or my opinion aside to go with what the board has decided.
Okay, thank you. I think we're at closing statement, Diane.
Closing statements. Wow, you guys are doing an amazing job. Just a little bit more. We're gonna ask you to make a closing statement. So you have 1 minute to make a closing statement. In your closing statement, is there something that we didn't ask you about that you feel is really important for us to know before we begin to make our decision? And I think we're gonna start with, I was trying to listen carefully, David, correct? Okay, so David, would you like me to repeat that question?
I think I got it.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I know my peers to the left are, as I'm listening to them answer the questions, I feel are just incredibly talented and qualified individuals. My passion for this school district and for the students is really what's driving me to make the decision to put my name in the hat here. I know Gary Wing left some pretty big shoes to fill. I hope to be able to do that. I think the board that we have today, I would be excited to work with. I'm just thrilled with the board and the things that are happening now, so it would excite me to be part of that board. I have worked in the district. I'm currently part of the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, and so I've had been able to see behind the scenes of the projects that are going on, and I'm so excited with the stadium that was built. I'm excited about the middle school that's coming to fruition, and I would just like to serve this community further on the board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to turn to Mark. Mark, would you like me to repeat that, or are you good? Absolutely. In your closing statement, is there something that we didn't ask you about that you feel is important for us to know before we make our decision?
I don't think there's another question to be asked, but I will take my 1 minute and say again that it's kind of surreal me being here, having worked here many, many years ago, and ending up in this community that has supported my students. This district has, my children. This district has supported my children. I found the employees, teachers very helpful throughout that process, the K-12 process. I think I have a lot of expertise to give to the school board and knowledge. And I think it's not about what's going on right now, but what may be coming to this board in the future. Nationally, there are districts that are being sued for this or that, or a student suspended for playing dodgeball and hitting somebody accidentally. And I think I could bring some knowledge to those future discussions with the board.
Thank you very much. Okay. Adrian, you want me to repeat that?
No, thank you. So something that I wasn't asked and I didn't touch on is that after running for school board, I talked a lot about grants, and I was like, why don't you have more grants? And I was kind of a stickler about it. So I put my money where my mouth is, and I took a course through San Diego State University. And I got my certificate in grant writing. And what I will say is my hats are off, because all of my many hats, Leslie Beatson, bless her for the grant writing, because it is a big chunk. It's not as easy as I anticipated. So, and I can only imagine the depths if you're going for, a government grant. So that's something I wanted to touch on. And, in a nutshell, I love this community. I don't foresee myself going anywhere. So I just want to be a part of it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yosemite?
First, I want to say thank you for this opportunity to be able to come before you and to share with hopes of getting a position to join you. I just want to kind of recap a little bit without going into too much detail. My experience alone as an educator, as a classroom teacher, a site administrator, working at the County Office of Education for the past 7 years, I know that I bring a lot of knowledge and expertise to the table to be able to contribute to what you guys are already doing, the impacts that you're already making in the community, different conversations with folks. I know that they truly appreciate and admire each and every one of you. And so to be able to be a part of that process would mean a great deal to me, because I would be able to serve in the area that I've been living and breathing for the majority of my life. And so I love our community. I'm not going anywhere. I will continue to, definitely find ways to serve and connect. One thing about being an educator, I understand the importance of building those relationships. And so that's what I will continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, my hat's off to all of you. I think I could say that on behalf of all of us. You've done yourself very proud as amazing candidates tonight. I know this is uncomfortable to have questions fired at you. We've all sat there, and it's very awkward to be that tuned in, and you're probably exhausted now. But I just want to thank you again and tell you how much I appreciate your participation tonight and your willingness to come forward so that we can once again be a team of 5, which is what we're really looking forward to. So thank you. Okay, so now at this time, I'm going to turn to my colleagues, and it's now our opportunity to engage in some initial tally so that we can begin to deliberate or begin to better understand where we are. So Mrs. Jensen, who is our board secretary, is going to pass us out a tally, and she will compile it and tell us where we are.
Just a quick explanation of what's going to happen now. I sat where you sat 5 years ago, and it's uncomfortable. But because this is the public's work, we do have to have a public discussion about who we're going to select. And so if you want to tune out for a second, if that it's very awkward and we are apologetic that that's the way it happens. But um, again, we appreciate all of you being here, and really you've made it a very difficult decision because you're all amazing. So thank you again, and please be patient while we go through our process at this point.
Okay, just one other point. Just I see 2 of our candidates that don't have water. You've talked for a long time now. I know you did. I know you did, but I'm just coming back and doing it one more time. Would you got yours? And so David. Okay, and is there anybody up here that needs?
Oh, I'm good.
We good? Okay. All right, so we're gonna pause for just a second. As my, oh. Okay, so I'm going to come back one more time and just explain what we're doing. We have been given a tally sheet because our first time we were going to do it by ballot and ask Mrs. Jensen to tabulate what we recorded. So we're going to just take a moment and try to decide who we're going to check as our first round. Once we get our results, then Mrs. Jensen will read us the results, and then we'll begin to have our discussions or ask for clarifying questions of each other as we begin to move forward. So now the dialogue really moves to us up here on the dais. Okay, so are you guys all ready? You've already done it, I can tell. Okay, hold on. Can we fold them in 12 different ways for you? Kids used to do that to me too. So I think just another piece of information while we're waiting, there are 4 of us here, so we would need a vote of at least 3 to 1 so that we could begin to move forward and make a motion. So that's what we're waiting for.
So on our first tally, there's 2 votes for Adrian Hayashi and 2 for Gethsemane Moss. I hate to do this, but you have to turn on your mic. Yes.
Turn them all off. Sorry.
So sorry.
Turn them off while we were.
Yeah, turned them all off and I forgot to turn them back on. So I put forward Gethsemane Moss's name because I felt that she not only has a broad educational background, but also a very good connection with the community and having educational experience as a parent, as a teacher, as an administrator, all in our community.
I put forth Adrian because I felt like she really has been involved deeply in the community with all her kids. She's at everything. She's seen everywhere, because her kids, without the kids being involved in all the different activities, she's known at the various schools and the various sites. And she's been involved in the, with the Lions Club and all the rest of it too. I thought that was, something, it was the same concept, being very involved in the community.
I also put down Adrian's name because if I look at the votes that came in from the people last November, she came in, she was the next highest tallied number of votes. That's why she's got other things that she's offering, but I also listen to the people and what the people want, and that's.
So I also voted for Gethsemane, and I chose to stay really quiet on purpose because I know Gethsemane in multiple venues. I worked with her when I was an administrator in Fairfield before I retired. She was our county office support person. I also worked with her at AXA which is the Association of California School Board Administrators. So I have participated with her in a variety of venues. So when she talks about fighting for public education, she really does. And she has been with me every time that I've gone to Sacramento when we've been fighting for this funding. So she has been part of the journey with me. I really believe she would be an asset to us as the board because of all these vast experiences that she's had and what she's done. That she would, I think she would be a real asset to us as the team, and she would be a real positive force on our team. So.
Do we vote again?
Oh, sorry. I also have a real appreciation for David's thoughts as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the concept of digging in and building through the community and working in every step of the way. And actually, Adrian pointed this out as well, and I appreciated the idea of having somebody who has children. Absolutely. And so that's another thought as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think truthfully, we have a tough choice because every one of these candidates they're all good. It's like,
We all bring something different to this board, and
exactly.
it's the
I mean,
same with
David's
adding a
passion
person.
came through, Mark's expertise came through. You know, I've been in the school district for a very long time. I started my teaching career in California, in Benicia.
Mm-hmm.
So to see that the board members have moved into a space where we are now honoring and acknowledging the fact that there is a lot of educational expertise up there to kind of help us in our leadership and in the tough jobs that we have. It's really kind of exciting. It's, you know, Sherry was a librarian, Mark is a teacher, you know, Stacy has been on the college level. You know, I've worked through teaching administration, so I get this journey, you know, but even our candidates, it's like, wow, they've touched education for so long and so much. It's quite an exciting change, I think, coming.
Grateful.
It's a great wealth of information that's coming.
So we can ask questions. Cindy, you mentioned a mom's group of some sort that you got. I'm sure that didn't happen in a vacuum. Could you elaborate, please, more on what brought that about and what were you able to solve an issue that had arisen?
Yeah, we actually a few of us had come together because we had known each other for some time, but we started having discussions about just some of the experiences that our kids were having in the schools, and so we came together to really figure out what we can do moving forward. My son was at the middle school when. And we formed a group when my son, by the time he was in high school, but just one experience that we had when my son was in middle school, all of the African-American students were called into the gym because I guess it was the notion that I believe the backstory is that there were some issues, some racial things that were happening at the school. And so they were trying to be proactive in really figuring out, how they can work with the students. But as a result, all the African-American kids were called into the gymnasium. They were, and I wasn't there. I'm only going by what, my kid told me at the time, but it was a series of questions they were being asked. They were things supposedly said about not playing the race card. So there were some things that were just, as an adult, listening, I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? So we had discussions with the administration and that type of thing just to kind of get to the bottom of it. Unfortunately, the media was there, so it was a big media frenzy. It was all over the news. And so moving forward, when me and some of these moms got together, we decided again to look at how we can be proactive. A few of us were educators, so we had resources and that type of thing in place. But we started to set up meetings with the superintendent, with Dr. Young, and we also met with the middle school and high school administrators just to kind of see, to really show that we're a resource. We really want to be able to come together, call us if there's an issue, so that we can help prevent things from even happening. But really important about that is just really building those relationships. One of the things that we don't always talk about race because it's always kind of uncomfortable at times. But the reality is that we do have a diverse group of students who are in our school systems, and some of our families have felt isolated or they felt very uncomfortable about really coming forward to share. We have students who are on district transfers, that type of thing, afraid to talk, afraid to speak up because they don't want their kids to be, targeted and that type of thing. So these are all the areas that come up, and that's why it's so important to be able to build relationships with everyone. And so, I mean, we'll continue that, but again, really the purpose was really to be proactive so that, we're all in this together. No kid should feel uncomfortable like they don't belong. A parent shouldn't feel like they don't belong and that type of thing. So again, just being able to provide a resource.
Was there a resolution to that incident were you guys, through the forming of your group, were you able to find a resolution to the issue?
Well, that particular issue, it kind of since passed, but in moving forward, a resolution really opening up the line of communication has been what it is. And so we'll continue that process. So, before things happen is what we really want to be able to have something in place so that, teachers feel comfortable, admin feels comfortable, everybody feels comfortable with having these initial conversations. So what we formed was a continual process of basically growing and learning together. So
I want to thank you for doing that. Thank you.
As a follow-up, do you believe the issue with the African American students is actually resolved?
no.
I wanted to clarify that because I don't believe it is either. So, but I appreciate the concept that we need to continue to communicate and make sure that there is space for everybody to be able to participate in those discussions. Thank you.
David, have you seen, obviously this is an issue that I hadn't heard about prior. Do you find that the district does reach the majority of all students, or do we have issues with certain groups that you've seen?
I believe the board does give that open space. I think, like Yosemite said, though, there are times when parents aren't necessarily comfortable in bringing it forward. And I know, working in the parent-teacher group at Robert Semple, we have a very diverse group of students and parents. And so in my role, I wanted to give that space where parents felt that they could get involved and have a voice and be able to say what was on their mind. And I think that the board is there to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to get the message out to the parents that it's okay, that we want to hear what you have to say. We're here to embrace you in our community and help you voice any concerns that you have so that we can come to a resolution.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm ready to vote.
Okay, let's try it again.
The fun continues.
Thank you.
Oh, you gave us a clean one.
We're juggling. We're juggling.
Thank you.
Certainly. Here, do you want the unbent one? Here, I'll take I bent it.
I bent.
I was going to bend it
I'm
anyway.
going to bend it anyway.
Yeah, it's already. Oh, thank you.
It is. It's like we're in school. Passing notes.
So the vote now is 3 for Gethsemane and 1 for Adrian. You can call for a motion at any point or continue discussing.
What do you want to do? We can call for the motion.
We can discuss for a minute. I think we have a lot of my mic's on. Can you hear me now? We have qualified candidates, and we've gone through the process, and I believe that the one candidate that stands out to me as far as the experience goes at this point would be Gethsemane. I think we need to, I'd like to see us be all unified if we can on a decision, because I think that shows that we do work together. And it doesn't mean other people are not qualified. It just means there are some that are maybe more qualified. And I would like to see that hopefully we could all come to some kind of an agreement on inviting her to be a part of our board, on appointing Gethsemane.
I appreciate that. I think it would be a model example for us if we could be a united team at this point, even though there's only 4 of us.
And we've proven that
We have
recently
united on
with
everything,
with a lot of things.
I think we've done an amazing job.
We
on
we
that
do
since
work
We've been together.
well together, and we have accomplished some great things with
Mhm.
the contract with the teachers and such. So I would like to see us be unified. That's just my opinion. I would like to see.
Stacy?
I'm ready to go forward with a motion.
Mhm.
While I think that would be ideal, I also don't believe it's necessary because we have worked through many things together and not had a complete consensus, but been able to move forward together as a strong team. So
Oh, yeah.
I don't feel it's necessary.
I
like the idea, but if
There was no one out of the 4 people sitting there that I could not work with.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I could work with any of them. Well,
Sounds like a good motion. Can we call for a motion?
go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve Gethsemane Moss as the new board member for the Nisha Unified School District.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Congratulations. And again, I just really need to say thank you to every one of you. You bring amazing gifts and talents to the table, to our room, and I hope that as we move forward, why we may not at this moment have decided to invite you up here, that we get to see you in our schools on a regular basis as we tour our schools, because we certainly would love to keep you as part of our active community.
November.
So thank you.
November.
And then November 2020 is around the
Not
corner.
very far away.
No, it's
honestly.
not. So thank you very
Thank
much
you,
to all
everybody.
of
We
you.
really
Thank you,
appreciate
everyone.
all of your
Thank
time
you.
and energy.
Thank you very much.
We're going to
Thank you for the
invite
Yosemite,
transparent
you need to
process.
stick around. We're actually going to invite you to the podium.
No, we stay. Yeah, we stay.
Yeah, we stay and we'll take a picture.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll be in the picture. Oh, okay. Maybe take my glasses off.
Okay, Mark, so you're going to have to learn to do the sound system and all the other stuff for Gary.
Oh, yeah.
That was very Very sexist, Diane. I could learn it
I
too.
know, there was. There's no hope for me. I'd blow it up.
Okay.
Do I have to lift up my hand or anything?
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Okay, you ready? Wonderful. I have the honor and the privilege of reading the oath of office to Ms. Gethsemane Moss. And I've known and worked with Gethsemane for a number of years, and I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, congratulations, and I am so, so proud of you.
Thank you.
So at this time, I will ask you, you're ready.
I know.
You're ready. Ask you to raise your right hand, and then
Okay.
I will ask you to state your name,
Okay.
and then I will ask you to repeat after me.
Okay.
Okay? So I
I, Gethsemane Moss,
do solemnly swear
do,
or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Wonderful. With the authority granted to me by the Constitution of the State of California, I proclaim you duly appointed and installed to assume the duties as a member of the governing board of the Benicia Unified School District.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You also have a certificate suitable
wow.
for framing.
Okay.
So here you go. And
I was going to ask if we can invite the rest of us to come forward. We'd like to take a picture with Gethsemane.
Jay, we're not trip anybody.
oh, sure, absolutely.
Yes. Charles does did a lot of his own, yeah, but then he
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for hanging in there with you. I am officially adjourning the school board meeting. Thank you.